my name is Mathijs Ruigrok, which is a very Dutch name. I'm originally also from Amsterdam. I joined Vainu as actually one of the first Dutch employees 4.5 years ago, where I was responsible for mostly sales. Vainu itself is originally Finnish. So we have offices throughout the Nordics and the Netherlands. But what we do is we help companies identify their ideal customer profile. So which companies need my product or service, but also the right time. So which companies have their highest probability to convert actually into new clients. I think the goal for today is actually to share how you can use data to be more relevant and actually land meetings, but also actually a look in our kitchen. So how we actually do the outreach ourselves. So how we, for instance, use LinkedIn, how we use video, how we use other tooling to actually land the meetings. I think before we get started, I mean, a lot has changed in B2B sales, right? There's more and more people involved in the decision-making process. It's more and more difficult to actually land meetings. People do a lot more online research, of course. And for us as sales, it's also getting more and more difficult. We have to be present on LinkedIn. We have to start social selling. We have to share relevant content. We have to engage with content. We can't just simply call offices because everyone is working from home. I mean, it's tough for us, right? But I'm happy to say that there hasn't actually been a better time to be in B2B sales than today. So usually when you were able to call to offices and you could just ask for a decision maker, and let's be honest, people didn't have 8 meetings per day. Now they do. So it's more and more important to stand out and reach out to the right companies at the right time. So we're going to focus on 2 things today. One is actually find the right time to reach out. So using trigger events. And 2 is how to actually land those meetings and using tooling. For instance, we use at Vainu ourselves. I think this must sound familiar, right? So there's never usually the right time when you reach out to a company. I think HubSpot did research that's saying that 51% of the buyers says that reaching out in the right time is actually the most important and will have the most positive sales experience. But I think this is something we've dealt with a lot, right? You reach out to a client and they say this sounds interesting, but the timing isn't right. We've just implemented something else, or we're currently working on something else, or this isn't a priority for us right now. This is something that sounds familiar, I assume, and that's something that's going to help you with that is using trigger events. So what is a trigger event? Basically, a trigger event, I mean, it indicates the right moment to reach out or contact a person or a company. A trigger event could be when they just filled out a contact form. A trigger event could be when they just send you a chat message. But it could also be when something relevant changes that increases the chance of you making the sale or landing the meeting. It could be when someone changes a job. It could be when someone started using a new tool. So I think we can look at certain things. So it could be, we're not going to dive into when a company visits your website. We're not going to dive into that. But there are different type of triggering events. And LinkedIn has a really interesting, you can just find, of course, people, but searching marketing automation and filtering events, we can find events that are being held based on, for instance, marketing automation. So I don't know, 5 departments that can benefit from marketing automation. If you're selling marketing automation software, it would be really interesting to reach out to these types of people. We target commercial directors, we target CMOs, we target sales directors. So LinkedIn Sales Navigator is, of course, a great way to find decision makers, right? You can make easy filters. I want people in the Netherlands. I want people working in computer software, and I want them to have the title CCO, Chief Commercial Officer. But when we look at the results, we get around 160. But a really interesting thing to use LinkedIn for is check out people that changed jobs in the last 90 days. This indicates, of course, that that Jos or Rogier, they just started a month ago at their new gig. And one thing that's certain, every time someone starts a new job, within 60 days, they basically allocate or spend actually their budget. So when people change jobs, that's when you want to reach out. And be the first actually to reach out as well. So you can of course look at it like this, but when you save the search, you also get alerts when there are people changing within your target group. And another change at a company could be when they, for instance, expand to a new market, right? So that of course there is a new need. They're going to need probably help with recruitment. They're going to need help with tooling. They're going to need office equipment. So of course, when you reach out, you can of course congratulate them on their expansion or internationalization, and then of course explain how your solution could help with that. I think when we look at, for instance, software companies, I think a lot of people, a lot of your clients are in software as well, right? So usually what we notice is that funding, or when they receive funding, it's a lot is going to happen, right? When you receive funding, a private equity or VC is demanding growth. So one thing that happens basically the week after the funding is announced is they're going to hire people, right? So they're going to be a lot of vacancies live. I think once again for recruiting, this is of course a great moment to reach out. So when you have HR software, but also if you're a recruiter yourself, you can reach out to companies when they post the new vacancy online. But when they show growth like funding, you want to be already in touch before the vacancies are online. So these kind of signals are relevant as well. When there's a merger or an acquisition, that's when all contracts are put on a pile and they see which ones they're going to continue with or which ones they cancel. So reaching out during M&As or mergers is super relevant for if you're for instance if your clients are dealing with this. Maybe to give an example, we integrate with HubSpot and Salesforce and Dynamics and Pipedrive. So when companies start using that, it's super relevant for us to reach out because we know we can add value because we integrate with that solution. So that's actually also, of course, how our software works. Just to show some examples like live. Find, for instance, companies that are working in SaaS, right? So we focus on the Netherlands. Then we want to find companies that are working in SaaS. So now we find 900 companies in the Netherlands in SaaS. I think all very relevant for the BD school. But then a signal could be when they, for instance, when they receive funding. So it could be when they receive an award, or when they open a new office. But it could also be when they receive funding. And of course, when you save these searches, these alerts can go straight to your CRM. So you or your reps know exactly the right time to reach out when, for instance, companies like, let's see, OrderChamp raise 6.5 million in funding. This is our own solution. You, of course, can also use Google Alerts for these things, but I think LinkedIn is great as well. So once we've identified relevant companies to reach out to, then I think the second step is, of course, actually landing the meeting, because now it's just data. But I think the problem nowadays is that sales reps don't really stand out, right? We have a generic pitch, and in all honesty, it takes a lot more than just one call or one email to land a meeting. What we do, and I just want to go quickly through them and actually show you, is usually a sequence of 5 different stages. So it's a LinkedIn connection, it's a LinkedIn voice message, it's a video via Vidyard or Soapbox or VAM. Then it's calling, and then it's an email or a sign out email. Yeah. So imagine, I think Lucia, a great prospect for us. I just actually reached out to you because I noticed that 1 month ago you added a new job. When you have accepted, this is basically our second touch point, and that is the LinkedIn voice message. This is something that I've only received twice, and both people who send it to me, I booked a meeting with, because I think when it comes down to outreach, it's all about standing out, right? So when everyone is sending emails, you don't want to send an email, you want to call. When everyone is calling, you don't want to call, you want to send a personalized letter. When everyone is doing that, which of course is going to happen, you want to find something else. Something that is working really, really well for us is using the LinkedIn voice message. And what we would do is you can't use it on the desktop. You need it in the app. So you would just go to Messenger. So this is Lucia, and there's a little icon right here. So you just press it and you send a message. It can be 30 seconds. It can be, hey, Lucia, so happy we're connected. Looking forward to engaging and learning with your content. And it's just a great way to initially start building that relationship, and people remember you. They remember, hey, that's that guy or girl that sent the personal voice message. After that, and I know a lot of people are of course also using it, is actually sending and using video in your outreach. So there are several tooling for that. You can use Vainu, you can use Soapbox. I'm currently using Vidyard, but I think most of them have similar features, of course. So it's just a Chrome extension, and you can start recording your screen. There's a camera on the left, so you can make it personal, and you just create a short video like this. I'll quickly show you. I just made this as an example. It's Mathijs here from Vainu. First of all, congrats once again on your new role. I actually noticed that the BD school is currently hiring business developer interns. And when I checked out the vacancy, I noticed they're also responsible for identifying market opportunities through research. Well, this of course takes quite some time, and we basically can take that, we can outsource that for your team. What we do at Vainu is we help companies identify those companies that are most likely to convert into new business, but also the right moment to reach out to them. So we could easily find SaaS companies in Amsterdam who just hired a bunch of BDMs, for instance, which could benefit from your trainings and your BD school. So the reason why I reached out is I'd love to have 20 minutes of your time, hear more about how you're currently doing outreach, but I'd also love to tell you more about how our solution has helped similar companies in your verticals. So please shoot in some time in the link below, and hopefully we can continue the conversation online. Thanks. For videos, we always try to limit them to 1 minute, because you don't want to watch a 15-minute video. What we always do is we mention the reason why we reach out. So for us, like this example is, we notice you're hiring, right? So this is the trigger event I used in this sense. So I've done my homework and explained why I reached out. Then, of course, we want to explain how our solution can actually help. So make it really specific. Once again, we probably know what is relevant for you, SaaS companies, or the right moment to reach out, maybe when they just hired BDs. But then, of course, also really clear call to action, which actually is just book some time in my agenda and pick it up from there. So when you send this video, once again, via LinkedIn, you automatically get a thumbnail, which also shows the background. So once again, it makes it a lot more personal, and instead of just a normal LinkedIn message. Yeah, so you already see basically your own website. You could also, I decided, of course, now to show the actual vacancy. So once again, this triggers interest, and you probably think, hey, what's this video about? You watch it, and then of course with one click you can book the meeting. Then, should you have not landed the meeting, I mean, we are in sales, and part of that sometimes also requires a bit of calling. Let's say you want to book a meeting with our founder, Miko. It's probably not, you're not going to reach him on the office line at the moment. He's also working from home. So what we're using for that is Lucia. It's similar to your name, but basically also a Chrome extension. They have a free version, and you just find his direct number on here, which is going to save you so many dials. You just get the person right who you want, and especially now when everyone's working from home, a great way to find the right decision maker. Yeah, the last stage is the sign out email, where we usually, or we like to add a link that links back to our marketing resource center. So hopefully at the end, converting them, if they're not ready to meet now, adding them to our marketing automation, of course. So, but sharing content, and of course, hoping they add their email when downloading certain content.